Welcome to the Business of You, the show that empowers you to put yourself out there and build your personal brand. I'm your host, Michelle Griffin, helping you each week with expert tips, inspiring stories, and personalized coaching so you can master your reputation and build your future, showing up as the brand and business of you. I'm excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's show. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode. This week, I cannot tell you how excited I am to talk to this particular guest because she is someone who is going to help you, me, and she's doing it herself, get clients and get amazing revenue on LinkedIn the right way, right? So we're going to break it all down today about content, selling, all the things that you need as an online entrepreneur to grow your business on LinkedIn. So without further ado, I want to welcome to the show, Wendy Maynard. Did I get that right?
You sure did. Hi, Michelle. It's so amazing to be here. And I'm so excited to talk to your audience about LinkedIn, about growing an online business, and all the things that go around getting clients and growing your business online as well.
Well, thank you. I guess I sort of forgot to say you are an online business and marketing strategist, all the things. You've been growing your business. So before I say all the things, why don't you tell the story? Tell us a little bit about your story, about how you got on LinkedIn and how I know you have a great story. So tell us all about it and how LinkedIn was the place that you started.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know a lot of people will relate to this story because a lot of people have made a shift to the online world for similar reasons. But for a long time, I owned a brick and mortar marketing firm, worked with brick and mortar businesses. Didn't actually learn that term until I got into the online space. But now that we're talking to online entrepreneurs, they'll know what I mean. And I'm in Southern Oregon. The business itself was actually in Portland. So I had a co-owner, but I was traveling a lot, traveling to that location, traveling to client locations, and I had my second child, and it just reached a point where it just was not okay for me anymore. And so I needed to do something else. And at that point, I sold the marketing firm and I took a jump into the online space because I didn't want to travel as much. I didn't want to be away from my babies at the time, right? They're not babies anymore. My sons are now almost 7 and 13. But this was about 4 years ago. So my littlest was 2. And I had gone through the whole thing, traveling and trying to pump milk. And I just, it was a nightmare. So I was just like, enough of this. Started my online business. And at the time, LinkedIn hadn't changed its algorithm yet. So LinkedIn went through a huge change about 3 years ago. I started on Facebook. Started teaching people how to grow their online business there, basically taking all the things that I had worked on with brick and mortar businesses and, kind of condensing it to the solopreneur and teaching people online. However, it was working. However, I was incredibly frustrated with Facebook and in particular, the noise and chaos in Facebook groups. Because let's face it, Facebook, a lot of people are on there for entertainment and some people are on there to troll. And I always compare LinkedIn and Facebook. And I've written a post about this, whereas LinkedIn is like going to a cocktail party with all the cool and fun people. And Facebook is more like a Dunder Mifflin from Office Space backyard barbecue. You never know who's going to show up drunk. So I was just tired of all that. Read that LinkedIn had changed its algorithm, jumped on there, and just kind of went gangbusters. Figured out everything I could do on there, quickly scaled my business to 6 figures and multi-6 figures, started to teach one-on-one clients, and then started to teach it in a group program. So that is my story in a nutshell. I know I just covered a ton, but I'm happy to answer any questions you have about any of that I just went over.
No, that's a great story. I mean, there's so many people I know who are jumping. You read it every day.
Yeah.
I'm done with Facebook, and let's face it. I mean, if depending on your business, LinkedIn is where business is done. But on the flip side, it is not the stodgy corporate buttoned up corporate place. I mean, it's a content creator place now. And you got on in what, 2018, 2019, you said that you really
technically I'd been on since 2003.
Oh, wow.
But
when
I
it
had
started, yeah.
It really was a kind of a online resume place. Yeah. And it was, the algorithm took anything that you wrote and showed it chronologically. And it was all about the articles that you posted. Mm-hmm. So it was really a different, it was just such a different place. People weren't building community. People weren't interacting with each other. You were just writing articles. And so, yes, I did that, but it was more like checking a box than interacting with people. So yes, I kind of left that, had my pool of people that I had known in the marketing firm world, left that. I went to Facebook originally because that's where people were and that's where I could actually interact. Then, LinkedIn changed its algorithm. And I started, just kind of reading some stuff. And I was like, what is going on over there? This looks cool.
No, that's exactly right. In fact, I think I got on in 2008 when I had my other marketing role in events. I mean, I was misusing it, just promoting that. But you're right. It was an article, resume dumping site. It wasn't until I became an entrepreneur, my last day was January 31st, 2020, that I really started, and actually 6 months before that, when I was transitioning out of my role, I started looking at LinkedIn. I'm like, wow, this place is not what I thought. And now, even to this day, if you're not on LinkedIn, people still have that connotation, right? So, I
was just going to say, that's one of my favorite things to do is help people who are on Facebook right now or who are on Instagram. Like, let's add LinkedIn to your marketing toolkit because there's so many misconceptions. Yes. And I have to do a little bit of convincing. There's plenty of LinkedIn experts who help LinkedIn folks get better. But one of my just favorite things to do is help people who are on other platforms. Like, no, you don't understand what's waiting over there.
Yep. That's awesome.
And so, come over to the dark side and I'll show you it's actually really kind of, unicorns and rainbows.
Absolutely. They never go back to the other place. So no, it's great. And it's completely, changed my business. That's how I built my entrepreneurial business. And I did a post about it today, how I, the first year I was just commenting and connecting. I wasn't posting properly or at all or consistently. And so I took that plunge and did it every day. My story, and, content will make the visibility. So that's what I want to dive into with you, because you brought people over, you kind of teach them, as you know, the right and wrong way, because there is a right and wrong way. It's not like any other platform, but the name of the game to be found, to show your expertise, to, attract those right clients to sell and all these things is through content. Of course, commenting and community and, all that. We know that part. We're going to talk about content because it goes hand in hand with building your business, attracting clients, and selling. So if pretend like someone's just coming over to LinkedIn for the first time, what's your first, and they got everything set with their profile, what is your first recommendations so they can start filling that pipeline and getting that monthly income?
Yeah. So we're just assuming their profile's already set up, right? Because most people can figure that out. Make sure that's complete. That's the only thing that I have to say is make sure you complete it. LinkedIn will keep giving you suggestions until you do. What most people don't realize is that unless you complete it, you will get depressed reach. You have to complete that profile. So I just want to get that out of the way. There's a lot more that you can do to really make it super sexy so that it magnetizes your right fit people. But getting it done, getting out there and creating content and taking the action is really going to give you that's what's going to give you some wins and help you feel really good about the platform. So what I really like to do is, and you'll appreciate this from a personal branding perspective, is to really understand what I call your get known factors. So this is sort of like content pillars, but it's taking it a step further. So I like folks to come up with 1 to 3 get known factors. And these are the things that you want your brand to be associated with, that you want to be known for as a subject matter in. And I also like to take it a step further than just content pillars because, I'll take myself. I can talk about online marketing, but I don't really want to talk about email marketing because that's not what I want to get known for, right? Even though that's a part of online marketing and I do email marketing and I, when I've had one-on-one clients, I've helped them with it, but it's not a get known factor. I don't want my name and brand associated with that. So you want to think about the things that you really are passionate about within your lanes, within your get known factors. Once you determine those, and it can be a little bit of a flywheel, like you don't have to get hung up. Never let anything paralyze you. Just decide for now, today, move forward, and then it can change. It's okay. It can evolve. But once you do that, you really want to stay in those get known factors and then begin creating your content. And so a lot of people will ask me, okay, well, I don't know what to write. Here's what I suggest. Create a spreadsheet. Just go into Excel or go into a Google spreadsheet. Put 3 columns on the top. And, if you have 3, it could be 1, could be 2. Put your get known factor and then just start brainstorming everything that you can think of to say. It doesn't have to be super sexy at this point. You're just brainstorming. Then come up with ideas. From there, once you have 10, 20, 30 ideas, start looking at those and then start thinking, can I break that down? Can I break that down into little posts? Because the posts on LinkedIn, you really want to keep them short. Used to be 1,300 characters. Now we have up to 3,000, which is great, but succinct is still good. If you can say it in less words, go ahead and do that. So that's really kind of the first place that I like to start. And then the other thing is, I always like to say, when you're getting started, stick to your get known factors and then do one offer that you get known for, and you're speaking to one audience. And so try to get really clear on who you're targeting. And I'm not going to go into target audiences because all marketers talk about that. And I'm sure, your audience is fairly clear on that piece, but you want to be having that conversation with, and again, I call them your who, but you want to be having that conversation with your who and really help them. So that's kind of the first place that helps people get started.
I know that's really good. So just to clarify for you, you said you didn't do email marketing. So yours are what? LinkedIn, online marketing. What are your 3 pillars or known as?
Yeah.
Areas?
So I really put them under organic, kind of organic online marketing as opposed to ad strategy. I don't teach paid ad. That could be someone else's get known factor. Signature offers is another biggie of mine, and then premium pricing. Okay. I don't teach people, and none of these things are bad. Mm-hmm. It's just things that I'm really passionate about. So online, I think the fastest path to cash, which is something I like to talk about, is really to build at least one premium priced signature offer, get mastery around selling that online, build your reputation around it, and then use organic marketing to build your community. In particular, and on LinkedIn, I talk a lot about LinkedIn kind of under that get known factor, but those are my get known factors. And I'm just really passionate about all those. Those are things I could talk about and nerd out about forever.
And that's what they say. Have something that you can talk and write about because you definitely need to for a while, right? It's going to take a long time, not a long time, but enough time to stick with it. You got to stick with it. So people remember we're busy now. So I like how you said there's a lot of things that you said I want to take away. And I really identify with you because I think my brain is just kind of, fried. So I have to have small content. When I see long posts on LinkedIn, I check out. Like, it's just me. Now there's other people like it, but and if it's an article, I can be prepared. But when I'm scanning the feed, I'm going a mile a minute. So I really like the idea of short, digestible content. So I like that. So, okay. So we get in or start posting. I know you could get in the nitty gritty. I'm not going to ask you how many times to post, because those are all the questions we get asked, but
I will pause you just for a moment.
What are you going to say?
All I'm going to say is pick a schedule that works for you and be consistent.
Yeah.
If you can only post twice a week, that's fine. But be non-negotiable about your own schedule. Pick Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's when you post, and just be committed, because what I see is people get overwhelmed and, I have to post every day. You don't. Just be consistent and let your audience know when you're going to post. Begin to develop a habit for yourself And again, tell your audience when you post and when to expect your content. So
no, that's really good. No, I agree. And I would say 2 times a week is probably minimum. If you can do it, it's going to give you much traction. Once a week isn't enough. So,
yeah.
So you last year, you've told me this, and when I've been on your audio show, we switched places. Like last year I was doing every day, and this year you're doing every day. So tell us what changed for you, and or I guess I'm jumping ahead. So if someone's posting 2 times a week, when did they start bringing the service offer? I'm going to go to your posting, but let's talk about what we were talking about in the pre-roll, that a lot of big influencers say you need to give value, you need to have content, don't sell. Let's get into that conversation because it's a good one.
Yeah, it's a really good one. And it's something, as I was telling you my story at the time where I made this jump. I was married. Now I'm not married. So becoming a single mom, my time was already at a minimum, but becoming a single mom, it made it like every single minute's got to count. I've got to be highly efficient so I have time to be with my kids. And so some of these, I won't name names, but many big names that folks on here would probably know, talk about this idea of just add value. And I'm sure folks in the audience, you all have probably seen this, read this, whatever. Just add value, build value, talk to your audience. And eventually, somehow, magically, I don't know, someone will reach out to you and say, hey, can I hire you? I suppose that could happen, but it sure does take the control away from you. I mean, you're the business owner, right? You're doing people a gift by giving them free content. That's my first thing that I believe is that, yes, you're serving, but you're also doing this for a purpose because you're a business owner. So I've seen, post free content for a year before you ever make a pitch. And this single mama, I don't have time for that. My babies would starve. I shouldn't say babies. They'll always be my babies, 7 and 13, right? But my babies will starve if I do that. So here's what I believe is you can start selling right away. Maybe build an audience of 100, but you can do that. Really, you can do that within a week or two just by adding connections. And you can start selling and talking about your offer right away. In fact, it's actually a really good thing to do. And some people, yes, they will not connect. They will not stay connected with you. They will not stay following you, but they were not going to buy from you anyway. You can monetize a really small audience. And I believe monetization comes first. Then you can do what I'm doing now. I've started daily posting. I've started creating a push to get more followers, but I'm doing that because it's fun. I monetize LinkedIn. I understand how to get conversions. I know how to sell, and my audience buys from me. And that's what I always teach my clients is monetize first. Understand how you convert people in your content, and then also using the DMs as a way to get people across what I call the messenger bridge. So out of your messenger box and into a call or onto a sales page with you.
No, that's really good. So tell us your story. So you sold your business. We know that. And so what offer did you do? Is there a certain size or price or something you recommend? And then how did you start building that monthly income? Can you tell us an example from you?
Yeah. So I did a couple of things when I first started. I had one-on-one coaching packages. So I had a 6-month and a 12-month when I first started out, and they were not cheap. They were pretty high ticket. And then I had a group program that I created, which was a scaled down version. One, because I could only take on so many one-on-one clients without going nuts. And I wanted to make it more affordable and more accessible to people. It still wasn't inexpensive, but it also was pretty affordable. I mean, it just kind of depends on how you look at it. And so those are really the 3 things that I had to offer. And my focus was really helping people build their online business, get to those 10K months online, create their premium price signature offers if they didn't have one, or if they did have one, let's get people into it. For some people, I worked with everyone from accountants, financial advisors, coaches, consultants, really anyone who was in the service industry. and they wanted to grow online, I helped them set up their signature offers. Sometimes it was packages. Sometimes it was, we would roll them into recurring revenue. Like sometimes, web designers, they had a back end, all that type of thing. And then really helped them, like, how do we scale this? How do we market it? How do we sell? So that was my path.
Well, so what do you consider high ticket? I mean, I know it kind of depends. I mean, what's going to sell where it's not going to be too hard of a sell? What's a good starting point? Is there a price point you recommend for your clients?
Yeah, I really love to see people start at 3 to 10K.
Okay.
And if it's too big of a gulp, because the thing is, you can actually sell anything for any price as long as you have enough belief in it. But if it's too big of a gulp, then you start with where you're at. I always like to push people's boundary a little bit. So what feels doable, but a tiny bit terrifying, that should really be your price. And then once you have some success, you can start bumping it up.
Okay. So you get that confidence first. So that's a good price point. I just didn't know what you can suggest for selling on LinkedIn, especially if you're just starting out with a smaller, group, connection list or follower list. So,
I was just going to say the reason that I really like premium price signature offers is for a couple of reasons. One is I went through, when I first started growing my marketing firm, I'm going to date myself here, but there wasn't really much in terms of social media or websites. So I basically learned business through falling on my face, scraping my face against the pavement, because I didn't just like fall, but I learned things the hard way. So I just had to figure it out. And I probably made every mistake you could possibly make in the beginning of my marketing firm. And one of the biggest mistakes that I have made, and I always talk to my clients about this, is what I call PETA clients, pain in the you-know-what. These are the energy and time vampires. These are the people who are not respectful to you. These are the people who don't pay on time. Whatever is on your list, and I used to have my clients create a no list. You absolutely do not have to work with them, and you absolutely can cherry pick your clients. One of the best ways to do that is to have a premium price package. You get fewer clients as well. And so you can really serve the heck out of them because they're a high quality client. You have the bandwidth now to dive more deeply into their business and get to know them. You'll get great testimonials and referrals, which will bring on more like-minded clients, way more than you will by selling, like, oh, here's this, I'll work with you for 2 hours for $100 or whatever, So that's some of the reasons I'm passionate about it, is you just really create a business that you wake up in the morning and you're super excited about clients you have.
Oh, that's the best feeling. No, I think so. How do you do that as not in addition to pricing it, but your content's got to speak to that person. And I know it's solving their pain points. So walk us through some of your strategies and tips that you best suggest when you're just starting, getting LinkedIn and to lead to that sale and to those higher income months.
Well, I always have my clients do mindset work. We could talk about that, but I have a feeling that would be a whole nother podcast. So I'm not going to dive too deeply into that. But one of the biggest things is like, you've got to believe in yourself and your offer first, or no one else will. So that's the very first thing, is you've got to get into a place where you believe that you are the amazing person to provide those services. And then the next thing is you got to start talking about that. You've got to start getting excited about it, because if you're not excited, again, no one else will. You have to believe like this can truly transform someone's business or life. And the third most important thing is that people realize that with their offer, they are not speaking to everyone. And I don't even mean everyone in your audience. There is a tiny little subsection of your audience that you are speaking to. And this is a mistake that so many people make, is that they try to talk to the people who will become PETA clients. They try to talk to people who have a scarcity mindset. They try to talk to people who they want to be likable, as opposed to really targeting maybe the 1% or the 0.01%, or I don't know what the percentage is, but it's the tiny little subsection of your audience who has just been waiting for you to speak to them about a premium price offer that is going to get them a real transformation. That you're not coming to the table as an order taker, but you're coming to the table as a problem solver. And when they hear you or read that you're talking about that, they're going to convert in a heartbeat. But so many people are like, but I have to talk to everyone in my audience. You can do a post or two, but
that's a huge problem in marketing, branding, LinkedIn, everywhere, but you're saying, and so that core magic sliver is the ideal person who is going to be your dream client, pay that premium price. So just talk to them. Now, how do we separate in that? How would you suggest you do that in content? Can you give us some more specific examples? Because I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, please tell me how to do this. So what would you suggest?
So this gets into writing a type of content I call a conversion post, which the intention is to get people on a call with you or get people to a specific page. But you really want to speak to those people's pain points. You got to be really specific. And I'll give an example of a business because it's really easy for me because that's what I do. You have to be super clear. So for example, if we take a business and we take brand new business owners, they don't have much of a budget, right? So people who are working on, let's say, starting up their online business, and they'd be stoked if they were making $2,000 to $5,000 a month, right? They have certain problems. Some of those problems are things like, oh, what niche am I in, right? Like, what is my brand? So very basic kind of, I'm just getting started in my online business problems. If that's not your who out of, let's just say accountants, let's say your audience is accountants in business. If you don't want to be targeting those brand new accountants getting their business who want to just start getting their $2,000 to $5,000, then you shouldn't be talking about their problems. Let's say you really want to work with people who are, accounting firms who are trying to get past $1 million. Maybe they're around the $750,000 in annual revenue. They face really different problems, and that hump of going past $1 million presents a series of problems that are very different from the first group that I speak to. They have more money. Time is more of an issue, so they're probably more likely to pay for a solution that you're offering. Their pains and how you speak to them has got to be super different from the first group. So is that helpful?
Oh, that's super helpful. Yeah, you're totally right. And that's the problem. We don't do a deep enough dive on our customer, our client. And that's how, when I work with my clients, we do a huge deep dive because that comes out in the, not only in the offer, but in the content. So that's so smart. Thank you for that. That's a very good idea. So have a niche, but also know, am I targeting the newer established ones or the higher end, already have bigger problems, different problems. And if you want to do premium, you need to do the ones, like you said, like you just outlined, have different set of problems.
And I always say, it's like, look at who in your audience is more likely to be profitable for you.
Yeah. No, that's huge. I mean, that's why all this, what you and I do, like before I even let my clients on LinkedIn, we do so much pre-work. We don't come and just suffer on the vine or in the feed, so to speak, right? We know because we know how to do it. So I love that part with the premium pricing. That is so, so good. So we're trucking along. And one last question about sales before we wrap up this amazing interview. What is your take on how to lead from a content up to a post to a DM to a sales call? Like, do you say, I'll DM me? I mean, what's your conversion point you recommend?
Yeah. So I have something that I call the 4-lever LinkedIn framework. And so these are your profile, your audience, your content, and your DMs. A lot of people get really scared of DMs. And the reason is they see what other people do and they don't like it. And so then they apply it to themselves. Well, I can't use DMs because it's icky and slimy. Well, it doesn't have to be. If you choose not to use it that way, it doesn't have to be. And I don't actually believe in using DMs to do what I call, which is like a pitch vomit. As soon as you meet someone, hey, Michelle, blah, 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 right? And you're just like, oh, right? Like I would so much rather be in it for the long haul with you, build a relationship and know that something great will come out of that relationship. Maybe you'll be a client and I can provide you with information if that's what you'd like to do, but maybe you'd invite me on your podcast or I can have you as a guest on my audio event. And, great things have happened already from our relationship. So you have to look at like kind of what's possible. So that's the first piece that I like to think about when using DM. There are a lot of nuances. These are things that I teach to my LinkedIn clients. There's a lot of nuances behind creating content with conversion elements where you look at how people are commenting. So if someone comments and you see that they're talking about the problem that you've laid out, they're like, oh yeah, I totally, I can see that. And then maybe they ask you a question. Perfect opportunity to say, hey, Michelle, I saw that you just asked a question about da 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 da. Thank you. Thank you so much for commenting. Curious, is that something that you want help with? And most people, if they do, they'll say, yeah, actually, and then they'll tell you a whole bunch about what is going on. And I have to say, like, the biggest key is really go in with the spirit of curiosity. Don't get attached to the outcome. They might say, no, I'm good. I was just trying to like help you get reach in the feed. Okay, cool. Or no, like, I am struggling with this, but I just hired a coach. Okay, cool. But look at that person and think about how can I continue this relationship? Because you never know. They might hire you in 6 months, a year. It's all about the relationship. And the more you build your network and the more you build relationships within the network, the more great things that can happen. But you also follow up with those people and you say, is this something you need help with? And you can ask some questions. Oh yeah, well, where have you found that? And then you can say something super casual, like, well, I have an idea. I have some different programs that can help you. Want to jump on a call to brainstorm? Mm-hmm. Can be that easy. And when I used to be heavily pushing for one-on-one clients and people in my group calls, I would do that all of the time. And I can tell you that my goal was typically when I was in kind of like, I'm going to sell a lot mode, I would often want to get 4 calls booked a week. And I could do that pretty easily.
Yeah, just by building relationship. I mean, the key is just don't hound someone. Now it's as bad as when I get a connection request, they're pitching in the message on the connection request. I'm like, what are the odds I'm going to accept that? Right. So yeah, it's common sense, but then people don't realize it's common sense. But I love that because how else are you going to make the transition? There's got to be a way. So it has to be DMs, right? The right way. So very good points there. And so now that, curious for you, now that you've gone to courses, is that a different conversion point for those, in our audience and listeners who have courses as opposed to one-on-one coaching and consulting?
Yeah. So do you mean if people want to sell courses, they do it a different way?
Well, I mean, like your content, are you driving conversions now that you're just, instead of doing one-on-one, has anything changed? Because you went from coaching or one-on-one to courses. So has anything changed in your sales process with your content?
Oh, that's a good question. The only thing that's changed is that instead of getting people on a call, because I'm not trying to sort of figure out which path is best for them, because before I would talk to a person and my goal was to help provide the best solution. So, I had one-on-one packages, I had a group program, and for some, one thing was a better fit than the others. Now I drive people into a funnel, or I'm going to be rolling out some more things, which I'm super excited about. Probably those will start off with either maybe straight to a sales page or possibly to a content event. So content event is like a challenge or a live webinar / masterclass, something like that.
Okay. No, that's really fun. I know you geek out and I love all this online marketing stuff too. So I cannot wait to see what you come up with. That's awesome. Yeah. So there's so many advantages, but I always recommend, start with the one-on-one coaching consulting first, because you really get to know the pain points, the problems, the nuances, that really, and then translate it to group and courses and then whatever else. But that's the natural progression that works for most people. So this has been phenomenal. I loved hearing your story and, now you're doing so well with your boys and you have more time to spend with them and create new programs, which is even more exciting, and do things like LinkedIn audio. Wendy's a LinkedIn audio beta tester like I am. So we're both thrilled to be doing that weekly. In fact, I was on her show last week, 2 weeks ago now, I guess, or was it 2 weeks? Yeah. Yeah. So it's been great. Well, Wendy, what is a personal or professional mantra or saying that you can share with our listeners to kind of motivate them to get out there, or, build their pipeline or something along the lines of what you do? Do you have any words of wisdom for us?
The one that has been most transformative to me, and I think that has helped people to really shift their mindset, is the idea of learning to become your own best cheerleader and to figure out how you can increase your own belief, just your belief in yourself, and to tell yourself, Wendy, good job. Oh, good job getting it out there. Oh, good job trying. Oh, because we have this huge tendency to beat ourselves up. We have expectations, or like, ooh, that post, it only got, I just did a post, actually, I think it was today or yesterday. It's like, oh, we only got 200 views. Well, if you go and imagine standing on front of, on a stage in front of 200 people, like, you have so much power. That's amazing. And so the shift of, oh, I only got 200 views, to, oh my gosh, good job, Wendy. You got 200 views. Way to go. And just really cheerleading for yourself. Such a better way of being in the world. And it will take you so much further than using, self-flagellation, which a lot of us have the tendency to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that kind of just sort of helps make a little micro moment each time for our subconscious, so hopefully we're trying to change our thinking, which is hard, but I love that. I hadn't heard that one. So that's a really good one. So thank you. Well, now I know people are going to know, where can we check her out? We want to learn more about, follow her on LinkedIn and your courses on that. So where can our listeners learn more about you, Wendy?
Yeah, well, I'd love for people to come and follow me on LinkedIn. So I imagine this will be in your show notes, but you can just look for my name, Wendy Maynard, on LinkedIn. Love it if you would give me a follow. I am building my Instagram presence, and I'm at wendy.marketing. So follow me there if you'd like. It's a whole different personality for me. So you'll get two different facets of Wendy. And then finally, if you want to learn more about my approach to LinkedIn, anyone who wants to attend my free webinar can go to www.thelinkedInclass.com and watch that. And I would just be delighted to have you in my community, and in any which way that seems like it's the best fit for you.
No, that's awesome. And Wendy is now posting 7 days a week, and you've got to give her a follow, because for service entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, providers, she really hits it home. Just makes you think every time. I'm a big fan. So Wendy, thank you. I can't thank you enough for taking time to be here and sharing your words of wisdom and your story. So really appreciate it. So
thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you to all your audience members for listening.
Well, thank you so much. And we'll put all that in the show notes too. So everybody listening, Wendy has just given us tremendous advice. As you heard, mindset is everything, but also it's getting super clear on who you serve, their pain points. And for that premium price client, their real pain points. So you speak to the right audience, the one that you're going to have a great outcome for. So if anything is to be remembered today, is to have mindset, be your best cheerleader, and know that you have something to share. And as I always say, put yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a business to build, and people to impact. So until next week, I'll catch you later. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks so much for tuning in. We need more impactful professionals, entrepreneurs, and leaders just like you getting out there sharing your expertise. So if you'd like to know more about how I can help you or your team grow your professional personal brand, please check out yourbrandyourbusiness.com. And until next time, you have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. Now go put yourself out there and watch the business of you grow.